Welcome, dear friends. Today we embark on a heartwarming journey, exploring the tale of a widower who discovers a second chance at love and family during his darkest times. Sit back and enjoy the story.
Steve Morgan stood by the hospital nursery window, his eyes fixed on his newborn daughter, Erin, who was just 3 days old. His heart was heavy with grief. Only 3 days earlier, he had buried his beloved wife, Sarah, who had tragically passed away during childbirth. The pain of losing her while welcoming their daughter into the world left Steve feeling lost and overwhelmed. He couldn't imagine facing life as a single parent without Sarah by his side. Back at home, their housekeeper, Martha, tried to comfort him. "You have to be strong for Erin," she said softly. "She needs you now more than ever." Steve nodded, but the weight of his grief was almost unbearable. Every time Erin cried, it reminded him of what he had lost. The sleepless nights and constant demands of a newborn left Steve feeling exhausted and defeated. Desperate for help, he reached out to Erin's pediatrician, who suggested that Erin might be sensing his sadness. "Babies are incredibly intuitive, Mr. Morgan," Dr. Larson explained. "They can feel your emotions. Try to find moments of peace and calm for both of you." Taking the doctor's advice to heart, Steve began taking Erin for daily walks in the nearby park, hoping that the fresh air would soothe both of them. One day, during one of these walks, a young girl named Jessica, about 7 years old, emerged from behind a fence. She had a mischievous smile and a sparkle in her eye. "Hi there," she said brightly. "What a cute baby." Surprised by her boldness, Steve smiled. "Thank you," he replied. "Her name is Erin, and I'm Steve." "I'm Jessica," the girl said cheerfully. "I live at the orphanage on the other side of the park. I like to sneak out sometimes to explore." Just then, Erin began to cry, her tiny wails filling the air. Without hesitation, Jessica reached out. "May I hold her?" she asked. Steve hesitated but saw a genuine kindness in her eyes. He handed Erin to Jessica, who cradled the baby gently and began to rock her. To Steve's amazement, Erin's cries quickly subsided. "How did you know how to do that?" Steve asked, astonished. Jessica shrugged, a shadow crossing her face. "I used to have a baby sister," she said quietly. Before I lost my family." Touched by her words and her gentle spirit, Steve began to look forward to seeing Jessica each day. She seemed to have a calming effect on both him and Erin, and their daily meetings became a source of comfort and healing for Steve. Jessica opened up about her own tragic loss, how her family had died in a car accident, leaving her alone in the world. Steve felt a deep connection with her, recognizing the shared pain of losing loved ones. One afternoon, Steve arrived at the park, but Jessica was nowhere to be seen. Concerned, he waited, but she never showed up. Worried, he decided to visit the orphanage to check on her. The director greeted him with a worried expression. "Jessica was beaten by some of the other children last night," she explained. "They were jealous of the attention and gifts you were giving her." Steve's heart sank. He felt responsible for putting Jessica in harm's way. "Is she okay?" he asked, his voice filled with concern. "She's recovering in the hospital," the director said. "But, Mr. Morgan, I must caution you. Jessica has been through so much already. Forming attachments only to lose them again could be very harmful to her." Steve nodded, understanding the weight of her words, but he also knew that he couldn't just walk away. He had grown to care for Jessica deeply and felt that she had become a part of his and Erin's life. After some thought, he made a decision that would change all of their lives forever. The next day, he visited Jessica in the hospital, bringing with him a bouquet of colorful balloons. When he saw her small, hopeful face, he knew he was making the right choice. "Jessica," he began softly, sitting beside her bed, "how would you feel about coming to live with me and Erin? I want to adopt you." Jessica's eyes widened in surprise, and then tears of joy filled her eyes. "You mean it?" she whispered. "You really want me to be a part of your family?" "Yes, Jessica," Steve said, his voice thick with emotion. "We both need you. Erin needs a big sister, and I need you too." Overwhelmed, Jessica threw her arms around Steve, hugging him tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "I promise I'll be the best daughter you could ever ask for." With the help of Martha, Steve prepared his home for Jessica's arrival. They converted the guest room into a cozy bedroom for her, filled with toys and books. When Jessica finally came home from the hospital, she was greeted with love and warmth, a new family ready to welcome her with open arms. Months passed, and the once quiet and somber house was now filled with laughter and joy. Jessica and Aaron became inseparable, their bond growing stronger each day. Steve watched them with a heart full of gratitude, feeling the weight of his grief slowly lift. He had found a new purpose in life, a second chance at love and family. 1 year later, Steve stood in the backyard, watching Jessica and Aaron play together on a picnic blanket. The sun was shining, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers. Martha came out with a tray of freshly baked cookies, smiling at the sight. "Look at you, Mr. Morgan," she said warmly. "A year ago, you were drowning in grief, and now look at the beautiful family you've created." Steve smiled, his heart swelling with love and contentment. "I couldn't have done it without you, Martha," he replied. "You've been there for us every step of the way." As he watched his daughters play, Steve felt a deep sense of peace. He knew that Sarah was looking down on them, proud of the family they had become. "Thank you, Sarah," he whispered to the sky, "for giving me the strength to love again and for helping me build this beautiful life." With his heart full of love and hope, Steve embraced the joys and challenges of fatherhood, ready to create a lifetime of precious memories with his daughters, a family united by love, resilience, and the unbreakable bonds of the heart.